Morning, folks. Welcome to the Joey Show. I'm Joey Avery, and hot diggity damn, do we have a doozy of an episode for you today. We are getting close to election season, and there's one thing that is different from any other year, and it is that presidents are going on podcasts. This is it, folks. This is it. I predicted this several weeks ago, okay? I actually predicted on this very program, not only the presidents would be going on podcasts, following in the footsteps of RFK, but that eventually we would have podcasters become presidents. We are one step closer, and eventually that will be me. Of course, the logical conclusion of this is that we, the 12, will ultimately elect me. But since everybody is getting presidential candidates, Donald Trump went on Flagrant. Kamala Harris went on Call Her Daddy. She went on The Breakfast Club. Both candidates have claimed they are going on Joe Rogan. I'm sitting here with my thumb up my ass going, I gotta get someone hot for this show. So I'm very excited to announce that my guest for this episode of The Joey Show is Rodrigo Duterte. Yes, that is right. The former president of the Philippines will be joining this comedy program right now. He just got tied up downstairs. He saw a man smoking weed. He's throwing him into a guillotine. Once he has completed personally dismembering all the mild drug addicts of New York City, he's going to pop on, and I'm going to ask him questions like, what is the best head you've ever gotten? And fuck, marry, kill drug users. I think we're going to do meth, crack, weed. We will figure it out. But either way, I'm looking forward to the Duterte interview. It's going to be fun. I love where we are at right now. I'm like a baseball playoffs are on. I'm like a power hitter. And I've just been sitting on a 2-0 count, waiting for this election to wander into my wheelhouse as a person who listens to too many podcasts, and boy, have they grooved one down the pipe for your boy, and I am rock hard. It has been incredible. Of course, it's all leading up to both candidates claiming they are going on Joe Rogan, but it has been fascinating, and I think it is instructive of where this race is going, folks, and I'll tell you where it's going. It's going to whoever can be more fun. And that's what they're trying. Look, if you have any idea about policy, if you have serious concerns about serious things in the serious world, you already know who you're voting for. This election's not for you. You've already maybe even mailed in your ballot. It's time to just, you can chill. Now is the time for the most fun people in the country to get to decide. The undecideds, okay? The people who, they're just at the party going, what do you have to say? I have no preference. They are like pansexual, bisexual little sluts sitting there going, impress me. They do not know what they care about. They do not know what's important to them. They do not care that Donald Trump openly and constantly continues to threaten the bedrock of our democracy. They do not care that Kamala Harris is genuinely a bad candidate. They are just at the party drinking punch going, I want to fuck something, and I'm down for whatever. And it has been fun to watch. It has been interesting. I mean, Trump went on Flagrant, and full disclosure, know the Flagrant boys, love the Flagrant boys, very close with all of them. This is like when the Washington Post is like, we actually have to disclose some of our funding. They don't fund this. No one funds this. No one funds this. That's why it's just me losing my mind in a living room. But I went on their Patreon and basically was like, yeah, I don't think Trump's the guy. They go ahead and they have Trump on, and they put together the single best Trump interview I've ever seen. I mean, literally the most likable that he's ever been. He's saying funny things. Let's pull up some clips in case you didn't consume all of these podcasts. I have gone through and done so. I have listened to him on Bussin' with the Boys. I listened to some of him getting completely glucked on Nelk. Those boys could not wash their mouth out with his semen more. I listened to Kamala Harris on Call Her Daddy. Not as many clips from that one, I'll say. But I'll just give you a taste of Trump talking about a thing that he calls the weave.
I do a thing called the weave. Yeah. And there are those that are fair that say, this guy is so genius. And then others would say, oh, he rambled. I don't ramble. If I start a story, what you do is you weave things and you do it. You have to have certain things. You need an extraordinary memory because you have to come back to where you started.
Yes.
A weave is only good if you come back.
They don't give you credit for that.
Yeah, it's true.
You could go all the way over here and then get back.
I can go so far here or there, and I can come back to exactly where I started. Now, someday when you don't come back to where you started,
you're Biden.
Then you say,
so there it is. He's funny. He showed his more comfortable side. He showed the part of him that is charming, that, if you just consume him through his rallies and his clips and him talking about the things he would actually do as president, you would go, wow, this guy is horrible. He sits down on a podcast and you're like, he's fun. He is fun. And that is going to be one of the things that decides the election, genuinely. And that is scary. But again, people who know what they're doing have already figured this out. It's undecided time. People are now like, I feel like that guy's cool. I feel like he could run the country. And not everyone's going to watch everything. So you watch him on a podcast, you're a young person, you go, that guy seems a lot more normal than the other person. Now, those people aren't watching his rallies, where he says genuinely unhinged, insane things that are actually related to policy. He threatens normal election workers who are just trying to do their job. He won't give up the idea that the last election was rigged or that this one is. He will cause more violence if he loses in a close election, which if he does lose, it will be a close election. But I'm not saying that's not important. That is not what's going to decide the election. Kamala needs to have more fun. She went on Call Her Daddy. She talked about abortion. Abortion is not fun. Now, I'm not saying it's not important. I think it's a key issue that she has to hammer. But the massively female audience on there that is already voting on that issue, I believe will probably already be there. She needed to have, I think, a little bit more fun on there. That would have been, I listened to it and I was like, yeah, this felt like a political interview. It didn't feel like the podcast, which is funny because if you're going to go on the podcast, you have to try and do what that podcast does well. It was unbelievable to listen to that and have Alex Cooper pause, she's got to do the ad read and she's like, I think she legitimately at one point was like, Daddy Gang, listen, I want to talk about abortion rights. We could drop Daddy Gang for one episode, but I don't run the podcast. Look, she's a lot more successful than me. She doesn't have the 12, but she's a lot more successful than me. But that podcast appeared to not be as well received. Granted, we're only looking at the public YouTube numbers. I know I'm getting into the weeds on this a little bit, but I have done the intrepid reporting of watching way too many hours of this shit so that you don't have to. It is crazy that we've gotten to a place where that's what you have to do to kind of understand where everybody's at, but we've created an ecosystem where there is an absolute glut of content, and if you want to be able to understand where people you may or may not disagree with are coming from, all you have to do is dedicate your entire life to listening to people on an insane amount of platforms, so much so that you've ruined your life. You can't have an original thought because you're listening to shit all day and you can't sleep at night because you want to blow your brains out because this is not healthy. I think election season is fun, and it's time to have a party. Kamala went on Colbert and she tried to drink a Miller Lite. Don't do that. Don't do that. We know you don't drink Miller Lite. Do what you do, bitch. Have some sangria and get messy. Get fucking messy. Brunch with him. Be yourself. That's what we want to know. Okay? That's what we want to see. And that is a lane that Kamala needs to take on Trump because right now he is beating her. I know that the polls are even, okay, and we have tracked this. Trump gets shot. He's going to win. Biden drops out. Kamala's going to win. Now, we know at this show she's a bad candidate who could only win in a short run race. just stating facts. But she has a moment where it's like, this is happening. Trump was slipping. She rinsed him in the debate. These are all true things. Right now, he's winning because he is going around being kind of fun, seeming soft, fun. Like the other day, he pauses a rally to listen to music for 38 minutes. Insane, relatable. I wanted to play some of it, but I might get copyright stricken. But two people have medical emergencies. He says, we don't need the questions anymore. We don't need the questions. Let's just listen to music. He stands on stage and plays music for 38 minutes. He played Ave Maria multiple times. Well, let's plug in one quick clip here. You could see a woman there not having fun. And that's just what happens when someone else is on Ox. This bitch has main character energy, and she wants to be on Ox. This happens all the time. Sometimes I'm playing music. I can see someone losing steam. They join my Spotify jam sesh. They start taking over. I lose steam. I was on Ox. What if someone took Ox from Donald Trump? How do you think he would have reacted to that? Not well. He does not like to be challenged. Ave Maria multiple times at something that you're considering a party is sociopathic behavior. Stopping talking and just playing tunes is highly relatable behavior. This is Donald Trump. This is who he is. He has a complete, insane, unhinged, unreal side that he shows very openly when he's comfortable and wants to talk about it. But then when he wants to charm people and decides to step in, he can be the most charming figure in politics of my life, save from Obama, who has lost his fastball right now. He went somewhere and he was telling black voters they just don't want to vote for a woman. People don't want to be told what to do. They want to cast their vote for someone who might be a little fun. That's where we are. It was very interesting looking at the reaction to these, and this is what I enjoy about politicians going on podcasts is now we get to see what the actual online reaction is. Trump goes on Flagrant. The comments I thought would have more dissent. On YouTube, full glaze. Everyone excited. Everyone loved it. That being said, makes sense to me. I thought it was, love him or hate him. That was probably the best Trump interview. You look at the call her daddy comments, and it was everyone saying, holy shit, I've been scrolling for 15 minutes. I haven't found one positive yet. Girl, get back to something else. Stay out of this. You blah, blah, blah. Negative, 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 negative. Unreal. Now, to be fair, and I know we're getting really far in the weeds here, this is based on platform dominance. Flagrant is a huge YouTube podcast, and I noticed that their comments when they have Mark Cuban on, everyone's like, fucking shill, government shill. So it's a more right-wing audience than I would have expected. And Call Her Daddy is more of an audio dominant, so like a lot of people listen to it on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, things where the comment thread is just not quite the same. Now we go to Bussin' with the Boys. Okay, I made fun of Call Her Daddy for going daddy gang. I like when podcasts stay themselves. Bussin' with the Boys has Trump on, sticks the interview an hour and a half in, and leads with a story about almost shitting his pants because he was eating sushi in Oregon. I respect that dedication to where we are, and I think that's going to become the norm. I think at some point presidents will be on pod. Like Alex Cooper will have a president on and they will talk about the Gluck 9000. That will happen. Podcasts are going to get more comfortable with this because it's just going to become the main thing. We forget frequently that they are the public servants. They're the ones who need the votes. Maybe it's time for them to give us that 3,000. Yeah, it's a big guess, and every podcast host is a sycophant who would suck cock for a great guest. Except for me. I don't need a great guest. I can watch other podcasts and talk about them here. But we had some interesting moments because even on Bussin' with the Boys, football podcast, Taylor Lewan and Will Compton, has anyone ever heard of them? Because I am not bitter that they beat us in the beer games. You fucking piece. No, I'm not. I'm not. But it was interesting because they were talking with Trump about doing podcasts. And a lot of people are giving him some credit, saying, hey, this is a smart play for him. He can be good in these long form scenarios where he's not at a rally just rambling on about the insane things that he actually believes. And he can get some more fun stuff. They were there to talk about sports. It became clear to me he doesn't totally know what a podcast is.
Again, you've been all with pods and
So
streamers.
it started off, and it may be a little bit to do with all of my sons. You know, they're young, and two are less young, but I have one that's very young. And this is a young world. You're in a young world, right? And I've done a few of them, and they've done well. I did one with Elon, Elon and I did one. They call it, I don't know, they have some special names, but did you know I did a one-on-one with Elon Musk, right?
It was on X, right?
It was on X, and it was unbelievable, actually. I think he had 750 million people with billions of hits. It was just I don't know if it could be done again. But we did it. It was just him and I talking. We went for about 2.5 hours. And it got, world record stuff. I did one with Tucker. We did fantastically. We did one, I think that night he had 281 million. We did it the night of a debate. We had a debate, Republican Party debate, and I didn't want to do it. I said, I'm not going to do it. I'm leading these guys by 70 points and 60 points. Why should I debate?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a stupid person. Why would I debate, 6 or 7 guys that aren't stupid? They're professional politicians for the most part. And why would I stand there and do that if I have a 70-point lead? And so I did something with Tucker that same night, went against the debate, and he had almost 300 million people. Tucker Carlson,
Wow,
good guy. And but this is a new world. It's changing,
Yeah,
It changes very fast.
it seems like the world of
Okay, so we can stop it right there. Now, first off, he doesn't know what a podcast is. Going live on X is not a podcast. That's fine. We don't have to totally nitpick it, but it's interesting to see where he's at with this. When you want to give Trump credit for being savvy about something, and then you just find out it's like, oh, he means talking on the internet as a podcast. Now, he can be forgiven for that, and this is not the most important thing, but let's discuss the numbers for a moment. 700 million viewers on X is quite something, especially considering that there are only 600 million active users of X or Twitter. So that would be everyone who uses it, which is not possible. There are 345 million people in the United States, for example. I don't think everyone in the U.S. watched that. Talks about how it was well received. It was very poorly received. It crashed. It was a joke. Everyone made fun of it. These are things. Tucker, 300 million. Okay, sure. He goes on to say his crowd had 100K in Butler, Pennsylvania. We don't have to talk about the whole Trump crowd size obsession thing. I think it's interesting for one reason, okay? And just while we're here, the 100K in Butler, they did a statistical analysis. 30K is more likely. The space, if it held 90K, would be like dangerous levels of packed, and overhead coverage shows that wasn't. It's not the point. Here's the point, because it tells us who Trump is, and it tells us why he made it in Hollywood, and it's good advice for you. He manifests. I don't think he has crystals. I think he is a crystal. Everyone thinks Trump is backwards looking because he says that all immigrants are, rapists and killers and murderers and all that. Fine. I think he's new age, and I think he doesn't get enough credit for that. I think Donald Trump is actually basically like a patchouli-hucking, Ocean Beach in San Diego dwelling, living out of a van hippie chick in terms of his beliefs on the world, because he believes, baby, if he can dream it, he can do it. He does, and he just decides to manifest his entire reality. And we talk about manifesting in this way of like, well, if you really want to, from a concrete level, I believe in it from if you do set goals, then your brain knows here's what I want to do, and all your decisions you end up making in service to that goal. So once you start thinking about and believing in something, that is how you start structuring your life. It makes decision-making easier. It allows you to accomplish your goal. Now, that's sound advice. Next level people go, if you fucking dream it, dude, the universe fucking knows and it gives it to you. And maybe there's something to that. True. Now, the third level, and this is where we really get spiritual. Let's pump in some music. Let's take some deep breaths in. Kind of center with ourselves. The next level of manifestation, and this can be present in your life, is the Trump level of manifestation, where you believe things, you say things, and not only do they become true to you, they become true to at least 48% of the United States of America. This is true. This is how politics works. This is how media works. We've all been caught up for far too long in the concept of what is true, what works. All that matters is saying something that is personally beneficial until enough people ride with you and being fun enough that just wins. That is where we are in this race. I don't even know if he's lying anymore. He says things, people pick up on what he wants to say. His advisors are all in the level of doing what he needs them to do, and then it just becomes a reality for the entire world. He is crystals. He is New Age. He is your yoga teacher. And that's what Kamala needs to find. That's what she needs to channel if she wants to compete in this race. Okay, he is next level. And this was an interesting point that Schultz made on his podcast with Charlemagne the God on Brilliant Idiots in talking about the mistake that he believed other podcasts made when having the candidates on. Call Her Daddy disclaimered in advance, hey, we've reached out to Trump's people. We would have them on. We know this is going to be divisive. Bussin' with the boys, same thing. We've reached out to Kamala's people. We know you guys are going to get mad, whatever. This was Schultz's take, and it ties in with the whole Trumpian argument, and it shows us where we are. Good or bad, we don't make the rules of the game. We play it.
Wrong. One of the things that I look at with Trump that I feel like we all should adopt in some way, shape, or form, it's like nobody gives a fuck about any of the wild shit he said. Nobody cares about the wild shit that surrounds him. People don't give a fuck about the criminal charges. They don't care about the convictions. They don't care that he led an insurrection. They don't give a fuck.
Because he's not apologizing for it.
Because he's not only is he not apologizing for it, he acts like it didn't happen.
It ain't happening.
It didn't happen. The charges are fake. I didn't lead an attempted coup in this country. What the fuck are y'all talking about?
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, take note.
Yep.
Take note. You out here copping pleas and apologizing for interviewing for somebody. People start going, maybe they should apologize. But if you go out there and have a good time and have some fun, then people go, this is a really fun interview. What a crazy concept. You can frame how everything that people digest.
It's actually, yeah, which actually, to that point,
I'm the prince of pissing people off.
The ruler rubbing you the wrong way, but I will.
And what happens? When you get pissed off, instead of being like, fuck this guy, you be like, damn, he got me. He's the prince of this shit. You've been doing this shit for decades.
To this day. Like right now, right? But that's my point with Democrats.
Okay, so there it is. And I know that we've talked about this before, but it remains true and it remains interesting. And I think the reason that I keep bringing it up is because I don't think I'm capable of that. Like, I don't know if I have what it takes. Like, if people get mad at me, I initially look at them like, oh, fuck, they have a really good point. They're right. I'm a fucking idiot. I'm sorry. And it's not helpful. Again, I say again, you probably haven't listened to all episodes of this, but I've mentioned before, I think that this is good advice in the public space, bad advice in the private space. If you have people that are close to you in your life and you fuck something up, you have to take some accountability. Or just fucking move on, steamroll them, and never talk to them ever again, which I think is how Trump does it. Okay, and that's good. Now, it's all leading up to this moment. Trump goes on Nelk, and they just cannot possibly gargle his cock anymore. And they all they do is just everything is a leading question. All they want to do is just tee him up to say whatever he wants to say. It's fine. It's where they are, and it is interesting. But it leads to a moment where he says, "I believe I am going on Joe Rogan." I have my doubts that is even true. But he said he was going on, and then Kamala's team reports that they're in talks with Joe about going on. This is the conclusion of all this. Both candidates going on at separate times in the same week and having to sit for 3 hours. I think that would be great, but it would be interesting because it would make Rogan arguably, if he's not already, the most powerful person in the which is crazy, okay? But that is what it's potentially leading up to. And I want to talk about some predictions, okay? Because I think each candidate would deal with this differently. I made a little list. Some of these are a little more realistic, and some are just kind of fun. Let's start with Trump. I think Trump goes on Rogan, and he immediately commits to a ton of policies in the room just to please Rogan that the Republican Party does not actually want to deal with, like universal health care and things like that. I really believe that, and I do think that it could have a positive outcome. I think Trump compliments Joe's physique a lot, and then relates it to his own athleticism, but then says, but I'm not as good an athlete as you, maybe in my younger days. That's a lock. I think he might ask Rogan to storm the Capitol with him next time. That's a possibility. Rogan will be nice. He's fucking built for it. He'd look good in a Viking helmet. They Eiffel Tower Dana White. They do have sex with Dana live on the podcast. Joe gets really close to an interesting moment, then spends the final 2 hours just talking about how California mismanaged COVID. That's, I think, possible. When Trump finds out Jamie can pull up anything, he loses his mind and just starts asking him to pull things up. Asks him to pull up photos of Melania naked and goes, would you look at that? And then I think Trump does a set at Mothership. I think Trump actually goes to the comedy Mothership, does a set. I think they're trying to get him on Kill Tony. Could you imagine him actually on Kill Tony? It's possible. Or Trump just at the Mothership realizing the phones are locked up and doing true Mothership fashion and going, can you say can you say they like it when I say they like it when I say they like it when I say it, folks. I can say that's why they locked up your phones. I can come here and say he's a little I would watch that. We'd watch it. We would all watch it. Okay, Kamala goes on there. Mentions she has a gun 30 times. Does she bring the blicky to be relatable? It's possible. Agrees to smoke weed with Joe, then arrests both of them for doing it. That's a possibility too. Smokes a cigar, drinks whiskey, pukes. That I think is possible. Sets a world record for talking for 3 hours without saying anything, and claims she grew up in a mixed martial middle class family. I think that these are all in play. I look forward to these interviews. I genuinely hope that they happen. Maybe he pairs them with fun people. Maybe he does a sit down and it's Joe, Kamala, and Tim Dillon, and then on the other end he goes Joe, Trump, Alex Jones. Maybe that's, I don't know. This could be fun. This could be very fun. What's interesting, I think, is this, through all of my very fun, very painstaking, very annoying research, listening to Call Her Daddy, again, Nelk interview, painstaking, watching literally everything, it's become very clear to me, and I'm not the only one to think this. I wrote this down as a key marker, and then I woke up this morning and saw it in the Washington Post or New York Times or something. This race is coming down more so than in the past as a men versus women race. This is not to say that there aren't female Trump supporters or male Kamala supporters. It's just the race itself is becoming gendered, despite Kamala not trying to hype up her womanness the way that Hill Dog did. And I noticed it just by reading the comments. It's very interesting. They talk about how it's become man versus woman, but it's also become a vibes thing. It's kind of become a people who say gay versus people who are gay sort of competition. And one is just a little more niche. Like, there's become this entire group of people. You see it on any like Barstool post where you post about someone does something stupid and they're like, bet he's a Kamala voter. It's just a way of saying pussy. And that's really what it's a man versus woman race. And I think there are a lot of people in this world that are not really in the weeds on the politics of all of it that would just rather be a dick than a pussy. I guess because it comes with control. I don't know. And there is that part of you, okay? There's a part of a lot of people that just look at it and they're like, well, I don't know if I want to say I'm supporting the side that people are saying isn't fun. And that's what it all comes down to. This shit is middle school. It's very middle school. And we've never left. And we're not going to leave. Speaking of people who haven't left that, I do want to do one final clip here. Because Dave Portnoy has weighed in. Dave has weighed in his political rant, doing much higher numbers than his pizza reviews, interestingly enough, and highly positive based on the people that follow him. We're just gonna have so much of this coming down the pipe here, but he hits on something that I think he calls it a negative. I think it's a positive. This is how you should view the election, but he hasn't quite made the connection.
All right. Every once in a while, I get so fed up with politics, I got to do a rant and just let steam off. I try not to, but I've hit the boiling point. And it's the gaslighting that the left is doing with Kamala Harris, making it sound like she's some great, groundbreaking candidate. She is the worst candidate to ever run for president ever. There's two people voting in this election. Either you're voting for Donald Trump, you like Donald Trump, or you hate Donald Trump and you're voting against him. But Kamala Harris, let's stop it. And what put this over the edge for me? Last week, I'm watching her campaign rally, and she's up there being like, we need to turn the page in America. It's time for a new way forward, and I'm your candidate for change, and they're hooting and hollering.
It's time.
He goes on to say his problem, how she says she's a candidate for change, how he believes it's a coup, she didn't win a single vote, and she's actually the vice president, and then he understands that she does have to say that. Dave, you were right at the start. He goes on this whole thing about how could people support Kamala Harris? She's a bad candidate. You had it at the beginning. This entire thing is about whether you love or hate Donald Trump. That's okay. That's good. It's also the truth. It's basically whether you hate or love Donald Trump or whether you hate or think that the Democratic Party is going to cause less damage. Those are the most sane people. I think the most sane people are the people who are leading with hate here. Not the people. If you're actually in love with Trump, sure, we talked about the charisma. I get it. I'm not an idiot. But if you take the totality of all that he does, if you watch the rallies, if you watch the stuff that he's doing to simple little election workers, if you watch what his actual plans are once he gets in, if you watch him sow the seeds for another violent moment if he doesn't get his way, you can't love all that. And if you look at Kamala Harris and you go, she is clearly a leading light, you want to look past the fact that, some plagiarism came out in her book, that, she doesn't actually know how to answer how she would be different than Joe Biden. We don't really know what she's doing. She's taking kind of the we have the support of the Cheneys route. If you're loving all that, you are insane. I think it is very healthy to vote based on hate, because that means that you're seeing things clearly. We might be the United Hates of America. And I think we should love each other otherwise. And everyone's saying Kamala has the politics of love. We don't have that right now. Trump is the main vibe of the country, and his vibe is hate. So you either hate him or you hate the Democrats. A lot of people are voting for Trump because they're just like, I hate the Democrats. I hate what they're doing. I hate it. That's fine. And I think that we should all find enough hate in our hearts to understand why people hate the person that you're voting for. And through a mutual understanding of the healthy hate on both sides of this debate, you can understand your fellow person and maybe not hate them as much. Maybe that's a nice way to do it. Now, of course, if you haven't listened to every episode, we also covered how this is just completely our system, two choices, football match all the time. It creates this mindset. We're all tribal creatures. Who's calling me right now? Who is calling me right now? I swear to God. Potential spam. Hello?
Hi there, Joey.
Yes?
Hi, this is and I'm calling with I know it's really out of the blue, but do you have a quick moment?
Yes. What is
Yeah, so Access Capital, we transform long-term tax receivable agreements, or TRAs, into immediate liquidity for you. Have you ever considered monetizing your TRA?
I'm more interested in TRT. Do you do anything with TRT?
That's a good question. I honestly am not sure. I'm sorry. We would need to speak with Andy, our founder.
Yeah, talk to Andy and tell him that I'm interested in TRT. I just feel like my gains have been kind of slipping, and I feel like my gains could, a lot of guys, you get a little bit older, once you do TRT, your gains can kind of up level,
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you might want to just schedule a quick time with Andy to talk about that. He knows way more than I do. Would you be open to that?
Only if he has a plug on TRT, because it really has to be TRT focused, because I just feel like I need to kind of fill out the whole 6-pack. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I totally get that. I can go ahead and ask him.
Ask him that. Yeah, and if he's got a plug on TRT, then give me a ring back, and then we can set up a time.
Okay, all right. All right, cool. All right,
I'm just trying to juice things up,
Yeah, for sure. All right. Well, I will ask him about that.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
All right, my pleasure. Take care, Joey.
Well, there it is, folks. I'm getting jacked. Andy is gonna have the plug on TRT, and I'm about to beef up. Who's the next podcaster to be on testosterone? Me. What do you need to do to be a successful podcaster? TRT. I see how this is going. All these motherfuckers in Austin, Rogan, Tom Segura, okay? Probably any one of these, anybody who talks about mentality, okay? Anybody who is on that grind, anybody who has optimized their entire life, low dose of TRT. I just found a plug. Thanks, Andy. I'm getting the presidents on my podcast, aren't I? That's what's about to happen. Sometimes you just have to put a vibe out there into the universe and it comes back to you. We've just seen it happen, folks. This is the Trump rule of life. It is not about what is true. It is not about what is right. It is not about what is decent. It is about saying what you want ruthlessly until you win. And I'm about to get jacked. Try that, Andy. I can't believe I hit him with a hello. Woo! Man, I don't remember what I was talking about, but yeah, whatever. The country's divided. Who gives a fuck? People are going on podcasts. I think we've had enough of all that. Who gives a fuck? Who gives a fuck anymore? I'm quite sick of it. I'm looking forward to talking about some other topics here. I do think as we discuss the way that the new media is changing the environments of how we digest things, these hurricanes, I saw these hurricanes happening and the news and the topic on podcast, it wasn't gripping me. I know that that's a fucked up thing to say, okay? I know, I think that, but I think it's relatable to say that I don't want to just read about disasters because I know what's going on and it's horrible and I don't know if I can help. So I was kind of checked out until I found a little something called Hurricane TikTok. And I got completely locked in. I got completely locked in to the entire world of Hurricane TikTok. And it was unbelievable. Okay, I watch and it's alive and it's a dude and he's standing at the storm surge and everyone's like, get out of there, you're going to die, you're going to die, you're going to die. And he was just one of these guys, I could tell. He's like one of these dusty kids that you knew in high school that just like was absolutely fucking dumb, but just was like, ho, 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 you guys want to do whippets? Ho, ho, ho. And that's what he wanted to do. And now he's like, this is his next thing. Is he's like, fuck you, Mom. I'm going to the hurricane. Ho, ho, ho. I'm going to show TikTok. I'm a badass. And I want to sit here and be like, what an idiot. But I watched. Of course I watched. This dude's doing better online than me. But it led up to a moment that a lot of people have seen. This, to me, was peak hurricane talk right here. 81.9 million views. Trump and Elon numbers.
Check the weather in between my lives, and it looks like at 2 a.m. the water might start going down. But in the meantime, it's going up. The foundation of the house, like all this water is bubbling underneath the foundation. So that's not good. I think that's like how sinkholes happen. The water is smashing up against the window. When I open it, it gets really choppy in here. It's
a man in a kayak in his living room, in case we're not clear, if you're listening.
But, you know, go live on TikTok, you know, because oh, damn, my light's out there floating around. Whoopsie. Oh, so if that light is floating around, that means the cactus is done for. Man,
kayak
all those switches,
in the living room. And so then I go down a rabbit hole. Now I'm spending 45 minutes and it realizes I like the hurricane. So now I go from being like, I don't care to, I care, you know, because a hurricane is, it's a national, it's a global story in terms of what's happening to our environment. But really, it's a personal story. I want to see kayak, living room, lights on. I want to go to the comments, see people saying lights on, you're going to electrocute yourself. See people saying bubbles coming up, sinkhole, that could be an alligator. These are the things that keep me invested. So I loved Hurricane TikTok. I was not, if there's a hurricane in your area, listen to the local officials. No one wants to do that anymore, though. This is the problem, okay? This is the problem. Scientists are often wrong, but they're working off data. The problem isn't that they are at times wrong because it's impossible to predict things. The real problem is that they're being a bummer all the time. Oh, drinking can lead to cancer. Oh, that hurricane could kill you. I'm on a kayak in my living room. Is that an alligator? Who gives a fuck? Boom, I'm invested. That's the problem. And we're in America. We all think we're the last cowboy in the West. That's why people are like, hey, more guns does lead to more deaths. And we're like, yeah, but I'm the last fucking sheriff in town, dude. So you're not taking my fucking badge, are you, copper? We're all still cowboys. And cowboys are dumb, but fun. This is the problem. But that's okay. That's where we are. Hurricane TikTok was great. I feel like I've been very negative about the internet this entire episode, and I want to say that the internet is a great place. So we're going to do a palate cleanser with my single favorite thing on the internet. Okay, the homie, the one, the dude, Panther King, the motherfucking Don, talk to him. This is the first video I saw of his. I go to find out this dude's got fits for days. Talk to him, Panther. Let's go. Let's go.
This motherfucker done went international. Japan. I don't know what the fuck he doing. Panther King the Don. I don't know what the fuck they do. I don't know what the fuck they doing. Get all of this shit back.
He is wearing an unbelievable outfit here.
Let's give him the details of this
He is
Hey, this Panther King the Don
custom made a Asian themed
Korean
fit.
shit dropped off. Motherfucker thought I couldn't pull it off, but it is what it is. And this is what we do.
Yeah. He is custom made these shoes out of ornate details, all Asian inspired. He's wearing the rice paddy hat in a sensitive, culturally okay way.
Oh, gotta do all that though, man. Fuck.
Oh, the details. Look at that. You open it up, he's got yellow on. My guy is built fucking different. Now, I saw this video, and I thought...
Did this shit last night.
Today. This daytime shit.
Daytime shit, bruh.
Daytime shit.
Daytime shit. Son, the fuck you think?
What the fuck we say at the end of this?
Fuck 'em.
Fuck him. Now, I thought that was unbelievable. Come to find out, this fucking guy does this shit every day. I'm just going to pick a random one.
Fuck right here. He ain't, I don't know what the fuck he doing. He ain't pumped up and nothing. I don't know what the fuck he doing. What the fuck you got?
Look at him.
The suede hat on. What the fuck
Sweet
is
daddy today, baby. Sweet
Right,
daddy.
come on
Good
now,
time.
man.
Going
Give
back
them
to
what the
good
fuck
time.
they want, man. Come on,
Sweet
man.
daddy
Stop
today.
that,
That's
bro.
all we doing.
Right.
The sweet daddy, the good time shit.
I can't even
I know
describe
you
how
got
sick
that
this
That's
is.
what's up.
The crisscross and the Filzak, the poppers and shit.
Now,
every motherfucker.
I could spend another hour and a half going through each fit, rating it. The reason I won't is because I do have audio listeners, and I know that that's not fun, and also because I have to edit it. I don't really want to do that. But dude, Panther King the Don is the single greatest follow that I've ever had online, and every day he drops a fresh, hot, fucking insane fit. Okay, and I will have him on this show. I'm actually talking to him. I'm finding out where he lives so we can have him on. But he is, that's what I need from the internet, because not only are his fits unbelievable, incredibly creative, handmade, day over day. I don't know how the fuck he does it, but the dude who films it rules, because he just goes, what the fuck is this? And he just goes, talk shit to him, Panther. And then he does talk his shit. You saw him in that first video. This is a mantra. If you're ever getting down on yourself, if you're not having a good day, if you just need something, if you need something to feel a little better, okay, we're going to go with this. It is what it is, and this is what the fuck we do. Talk shit to him. Talk shit to him. That's the type of shit that we need, all right? I've been watching too much politics. You can probably tell. I'm losing my mind out here, all right? I needed that call. That parallax lady got me that TRT, got me out of this, dude. Panther King, the motherfucking Don in the building. God damn. We love that. We absolutely love that. Shout out to we got one. Let's do a little let's do some stories from the road. We had Edmonton, Portland, Vancouver. Unbelievable. You had the podcast with Mark Smalls from Edmonton. Was super fun. Here, first off, joeyavery.com/live. Please come see me on tour. Tons of great shows coming up. Belmore, New York. I don't even know what the fuck that is. That's going to be very fun. That is November 1st and 2nd, I believe, Halloween weekend. And we have, after that, Houston, the Riot Comedy Club, November 8th and 9th. followed by Greenwood Village, Colorado. That's just outside of Denver, folks. It's Comedy Works. Comedy Works is a great club. I'm excited to get into the Comedy Works system. We'll do a little Greenwood Village. Eventually, we get to that Denver one, which is iconic. Please, I want a big showing. That's a one-night Sunday. Please, please, please come out. Tell your friends for that one. Let's make a dent. That one's going to be very fun. And after that, we're starting to get we get into Thanksgiving. We've got the Christmas show in San Jose. Go Sharks! How about those Sharks? No wins yet in 3 games, but they are worth goddamn watching, dude. We got Will Smith, we got Macklin Celebrini, the boys that are back in town. Very excited about all that. If you're liking the show and you're on Spotify, drop a comment, drop a rating, please. If you're on Apple Podcasts, drop a rating, please. If you're on YouTube, like and subscribe. Would love to get this to a place where we have an actual studio, where we can build this out, where I can pay for a little produce action. So eventually we'll go the Patreon route, but right now I just want to get the numbers up. Don't want to give the people the free content they want. But yeah, let's talk about the road. Thank you to everyone who came out. Edmonton, unbelievable. So much fun. So I'll always have a fun time. Edmonton is a special place for Mark Smalls and I specifically. We talked about it on the episode. Mark likes it because it sucks, and I like it because Mark likes it. And together, we absolutely love it, and it is a couples retreat. I don't know. I don't remember if I said this on the podcast, but Mark was talking to the club owner because she was like, Mark, why are you here? You could headline this club. You don't have to open for Joey. And Mark said, hey, Tammy, he said, thank you for the run of the other clubs last year. I did Arizona. I did Dallas. I loved it. I did Vancouver. He goes, I will never headline this year club. She's like, why? And he's like, because it would ruin this beautiful thing that we have going on right here. It would ruin it. She goes, you'd really leave money on the table? And he said to her, Tammy, I don't do comedy for the money. I do comedy so I can jerk off in random hotel rooms. And she got up and she gave him a high five. So shout out to that. I mean, we just had a great time. We went to the Black Dog every night. We loved it. We had fun. Mark came alive. Mark doesn't always drink. Mark doesn't always dance. Well, he does in Edmonton. He does in Edmonton. Portland, unreal. That was one of my favorite shows of tour for a Wednesday night. Almost 200 people in there. A bunch of people came up after. The people from Salty Raven gave me a shirt. That was lovely. Everyone who came up, who came out. I mean, it was so much fun. Incredible Wednesday night. Portland, beautiful. The Pacific Northwest, between Portland and Vancouver, I love it. I love it there, and I love it there in the fall. You want to go there and you want to listen to like sad kind of emotional music. Okay? The leaves are changing. You want to feel things. Daoud Namyar came with me. I guess he's just going by Daoud now. He's the Afghan share. He came with me to Vancouver and Portland, and we just had a blast, and we started listening to The Fray constantly. We made a music video. I'd love to plug it in. They'll probably copyright strike me, so I can't. It was unbelievable. It was just great. Listening to sad old music, watching a nice chilly sunset, bike riding around Stanley Park, looking at the sights, viewing the seawall, gazing back upon the city. There is no one in the game of comedy, and I posted a story about this, there is no one that will go with one of his longtime, also straight male comedian friends and put together a more romantic weekend than me. It is a fact of the game. You come with me, there's going to be a playlist. There's going to be a playlist that you can't listen to. Because when you get home from those 3 days with me, it will make you sad to listen to that music because we had that much fun together. That is what I believe. That is what I stake my reputation on. The shows will be great, but the emotional bond that we will form will be greater. I will take you out to a nice meal. I will. And it's on the house. Okay? That's what I do out there. I cook. But again, thank you guys so much for coming out. Thanks to everyone who listened. Just it's been a really fun stretch. It's been really fun going out on the road, seeing the people. Shout out to the boys, Tyson Gibson, MC Dilla, all the homies who came out. Tyson's the dude who makes my Sharks reworks. The tracksuit, the crazy tracksuit that I wore. He brought me a new pair of shorts. We had some Guinness. I taught them the Guinness game. We had a nice time. So, and I know they all listen. They're part of the 12. Shouts to them. Shouts to Trey Dog, who's in the comments on the YouTube videos, being in the front row in Edmonton. Okay, holding it down for the 12. Basically, Hunter Biden's right-hand man. It's really cool to see. I know that the numbers are small, but they are mighty with the pod listeners, and it's very fun to see. So thank you guys very much for listening. I gotta go get on a meeting with some guy about some testosterone replacement therapy, aka TRT. I really gotta make sure I juice up my six-pack because men my age lose their gains. Thank you guys very much. This has been The Joey Show. We'll see you next week.
Thank God I have a podcast.